Welcome to the Bible Quiz and Trivia channel. Today, we're spotlighting the fascinating characters of the Gospels with 30 challenging questions that will test your knowledge about their lives and roles in the New Testament. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video to support our content. After the quiz, share your score in the comments. We love seeing how well you do. Are you ready? Let's get started. Question 1. Who was the tax collector that became one of Jesus' disciples? A. Simon. B. Matthew. C. Thomas. D. James. Answer: B. Matthew. Matthew, originally named Levi, was a tax collector before he became one of Jesus' disciples. His calling is described in the Gospel of Matthew 9-9, where Jesus saw him sitting at the tax collector's booth and said to him, "Follow me." Question 2. Which disciple denied Jesus 3 times before the rooster crowed? A. John. B. Peter. C. James. D. Andrew. Answer: B. Peter. Peter denied Jesus 3 times before the rooster crowed, fulfilling Jesus' prediction about his denial. This event is recorded in all 4 Gospels, highlighting Peter's fear and remorse immediately following Jesus' arrest. Question 3. Who asked Pilate for Jesus' body after the crucifixion? A. Joseph of Arimathea. B. Nicodemus. C. Simon of Cyrene. D. Lazarus. Answer: A. Joseph of Arimathea. Joseph of Arimathea, a respected member of the council who was also a secret follower of Jesus, courageously asked Pilate for Jesus' body. He then buried Jesus in his own new tomb, as described in Matthew 27:57-60. Question 4. Which disciple was known to doubt Jesus' resurrection until he saw him? A. Thomas. B. Matthew. C. John. D. Philip. Answer: A. Thomas. Thomas, often called Doubting Thomas, doubted Jesus' resurrection until he personally saw and touched Jesus' wounds. His story is famously detailed in John 20:24-29, where his doubt turns to belief upon seeing Jesus alive. Question 5. Who was the first person to see Jesus after his resurrection? A. Mary Magdalene. B. Peter. C. John. D. Martha. Answer: A. Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was the first person to see Jesus after his resurrection. This encounter is specifically detailed in John 20:11-18, where she initially mistook him for the gardener until he called her by name. Question 6. Which 2 disciples walked with Jesus on the road to Emmaus? A. Peter and John. B. James and John. C. Cleopas and another unnamed disciple. D. Matthew and Thomas. Answer: C. Cleopas and another unnamed disciple. Cleopas and another unnamed disciple walked with Jesus on the road to Emmaus. During this journey, they did not recognize him until he broke bread with them, as recounted in Luke 24:13-35. Question 7. What was the profession of most of the first disciples Jesus called? A. Tax collectors. B. Fishermen. C. Tent makers. D. Farmers. Answer: B. Fishermen. Most of the first disciples Jesus called, including Peter, Andrew, James, and John, were fishermen. Jesus called them to become fishers of men, symbolizing their new role in gathering followers for his teachings. Question 8. Who was the ruler of the synagogue whose daughter Jesus raised from the dead? A. Jairus. B. Zacchaeus. C. Barnabas. D. Malchus. Answer: A. Jairus. Jairus, a ruler of the synagogue, came to Jesus pleading for the life of his daughter. Jesus raised her from the dead, demonstrating his power over life and death, as documented in Mark 5:22-43. Question 9. Who was the Roman governor who presided over the trial of Jesus? A. Herod Antipas. B. Pontius Pilate. C. Tiberius Caesar. D. Felix. Answer B. Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate was the Roman governor who presided over the trial of Jesus. He famously questioned Jesus, but ultimately authorized his crucifixion, succumbing to the pressure of the crowd, as detailed in Matthew 27:11-26. Question 10. Which disciple cut off the ear of the high priest's servant in Gethsemane? A. Peter. B. James. C. John. D. Thomas. Answer A. Peter. Peter cut off the ear of Malchus, the high priest's servant, during Jesus' arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane. This impulsive act is mentioned in John 18:10, showing Peter's initial resistance to Jesus' arrest before his subsequent denials of Jesus. Question 11. Who was the high priest during Jesus' trial? A. Annas. B. Caiaphas. C. Aaron. D. Eli. Answer B. Caiaphas. Caiaphas was the high priest during Jesus' trial. He played a central role in the Sanhedrin's plot to execute Jesus, arguing that it was better for one man to die for the people than for the whole nation to perish, as stated in John 11:49-52. Question 12. What is the name of the disciple who replaced Judas Iscariot? A. Matthias. B. Barnabas. C. Silas. D. Stephen. Answer A. Matthias. Matthias was chosen to replace Judas Iscariot as a disciple after Judas' betrayal and subsequent death. His selection was made through casting lots, fulfilling the need to maintain the number of 12 apostles, as described in Acts 1:26. Question 13. Who was the woman who anointed Jesus at Bethany? A. Martha. B. Mary, sister of Lazarus. C. Salome. D. Mary Magdalene. Answer B. Mary, sister of Lazarus. Mary, the sister of Lazarus, anointed Jesus at Bethany, preparing him for his burial. This intimate and prophetic act is recounted in John 12:18, highlighting her devotion and the significance of the anointing. Question 14. Who was the tetrarch of Galilee during Jesus' ministry? A. Philip. B. Herod Antipas. C. Herod Agrippa. D. Pontius Pilate. Answer B. Herod Antipas. Herod Antipas, the son of Herod the Great, was the tetrarch of Galilee during Jesus' ministry. He is noted for his role in the execution of John the Baptist and his part in Jesus' trial, as mentioned in Luke 23:7-12. Question 15. What was the name of the rich young ruler's challenge with following Jesus? A. He was too attached to his possessions. B. He lacked understanding of the law. C. He was afraid of persecution. D. He was too young. Answer A. He was too attached to his possessions. The rich young ruler's challenge with following Jesus was his great wealth, which he could not give up to follow Jesus. Jesus' discussion with him, highlighting the difficulty for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God, is recorded in Mark 10:17-22. Question 16. Who was the blind beggar that Jesus healed near Jericho? A. Bartimaeus. B. Lazarus. C. Zacchaeus. D. Simon. Answer A. Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus, the blind beggar near Jericho, called out to Jesus for mercy as he passed by. Jesus healed him, restoring his sight as a testament to his faith. This event is recorded in Mark 10:46-52. Question 17. Which Pharisee came to Jesus by night to ask about being born again? A. Nicodemus. B. Joseph of Arimathea. C. Gamaliel. D. Simon the Pharisee. Answer A. Nicodemus. Nicodemus, a Pharisee and a member of the Jewish ruling council, came to Jesus by night to inquire about his teachings, particularly about being born again. This conversation, where Jesus explains being born of water and the Spirit, is detailed in John 3-121. Question 18. Who was the brother of Martha and Mary, who Jesus raised from the dead? A. Lazarus. B. Jairus. C. Malchus. D. Bartholomew. Answer A. Lazarus. Lazarus, the brother of Martha and Mary, was raised from the dead by Jesus after being in the tomb for 4 days. This profound miracle, demonstrating Jesus' power over death, significantly strengthened the faith of many and is recounted in John 11-144. Question 19. What was the name of the centurion who asked Jesus to heal his servant? A. Julius. B. Cornelius. C. Gaius. D. The Bible does not specify his name. Answer D. The Bible does not specify his name. The Bible does not specify the name of the centurion who asked Jesus to heal his gravely ill servant. However, his faith was greatly praised by Jesus, who healed his servant from afar, as seen in Matthew 8-5:13. Question 20. Who were the mother and father of John the Baptist? A. Elizabeth and Zechariah. B. Mary and Joseph. C. Anna and Joachim. D. Priscilla and Aquila. Answer A. Elizabeth and Zechariah. Elizabeth and Zechariah were the parents of John the Baptist. His miraculous birth to Elizabeth, who was previously barren, and Zechariah, who was a priest, is part of the foretelling of Jesus' ministry and is detailed in Luke 1-5:25. Question 21. Who was the woman Jesus met at the well in Samaria? A. Martha. B. Mary Magdalene. C. The Samaritan woman, not named. D. Lydia. Answer C. The Samaritan woman, not named. The Samaritan woman, who is not named in the Bible, met Jesus at Jacob's well in Samaria. During their conversation, Jesus discussed living water and her personal life, revealing his knowledge about her and his identity as the Messiah, as recounted in John 4-126. Question 22. Which disciple was responsible for the financial matters among Jesus' followers? A. Matthew. B. Judas Iscariot. C. Thomas. D. John. Answer B. Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 apostles, was responsible for the group's money bag. He later betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, as indicated in John 12-6 and John 13:29. Question 23. Who was crucified alongside Jesus and defended him? A. A nameless thief. B. Barabbas. C. Simon of Cyrene. D. Dismas. Answer D. Dismas. Dismas, traditionally known as the penitent thief, was crucified alongside Jesus. He defended Jesus by rebuking the other criminal and asked Jesus to remember him in his kingdom, to which Jesus promised paradise, as detailed in Luke 23:39-43. Question 24. Who was the demon-possessed man from the Gerasenes that Jesus healed? A. Legion. B. Jairus. C. Malchus. D. The Bible does not specify his name. Answer A. Legion. The demon-possessed man from the Gerasenes, known as Legion because of the many demons within him, was healed by Jesus. The demons were cast out into a herd of pigs, showcasing Jesus' authority over evil spirits, as recorded in Mark 5 to 120. Question 25. What was the name of Pilate's wife who had a dream about Jesus? A. Claudia. B. Drusilla. C. Procula. D. Salome. Answer: C. Procula. Procula, traditionally known in some Christian traditions as Claudia Procula, was Pilate's wife who had a disturbing dream about Jesus during his trial and warned Pilate to have nothing to do with his judgment, as mentioned in Matthew 27:19. Question 26. Who was the ruler who mocked Jesus and dressed him in a gorgeous robe? A. Herod Antipas. B. Pontius Pilate. C. King Agrippa. D. Tiber. Ius Caesar. Answer: A. Herod Antipas. Herod Antipas, the Tetrarch of Galilee, mocked Jesus and dressed him in an elegant robe as part of the mockery before sending him back to Pilate. This act symbolized Herod's scorn for Jesus, as detailed in Luke 23:11. Question 27. Who was the disciple known as the Zealot? A. Simon the Zealot. B. Judas Iscariot. C. Matthew. D. Bartholomew. Answer: A. Simon the Zealot. Simon the Zealot was one of the 12 disciples. His epithet, the Zealot, distinguishes him from Simon Peter and indicates his possible fervent dedication to the Jewish faith or affiliation with the Zealots, a political movement, as mentioned in Luke 6:15. Question 28. Who was the woman accused of adultery whom Jesus defended? A. Mary Magdalene. B. The woman caught in adultery, not named. C. Martha. D. Salome. Answer: B. The woman caught in adultery, not named. The woman caught in adultery, who is not named in the Bible, was brought to Jesus by the scribes and Pharisees. Jesus defended her by challenging those without sin to cast the first stone, ultimately admonishing her to sin no more, as recounted in John 8 to 3:11. Question 29. Who was the first apostle to be martyred? A. Peter. B. James, son of Zebedee. C. John. D. Thomas. Answer: B. James, son of Zebedee. James, the son of Zebedee and brother of John, was the first apostle to be martyred. He was killed by the sword under the orders of King Herod Agrippa I, as part of the early persecutions against the church, recorded in Acts 12 to 1-2. Question 30. Who was the tax collector in Jericho that climbed a tree to see Jesus? A. Matthew. B. Zacchaeus. C. Levi. D. Bartholomew. Answer: B. Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus, a tax collector in Jericho, climbed the sycamore tree to see Jesus because he was short and could not see over the crowd. His encounter with Jesus led to his conversion and restitution, illustrating the inclusive nature of Jesus' ministry, as described in Luke 19 to 110.